You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Laec.
Together we are Road Break, and it's Wednesday, and welcome to Fyter Fest AEW Night 1, and I think it was a pretty decent show. We got a lot of good things. Malakai Black with Cody, we kind of like, Jean-Paul hates Cody. I mean, I don't hate him, I like the music, but I think that he doesn't know how to put people over. But overall, I think it was a pretty good show. We got a Coffin match that started out really bad, ended up really decent, and also Young Bucks and the Elite is going to go against Adam Hanman Page. A lot of good stuff from this show, and there's a lot of rumors, Paul, that Brian Danielson might be signing up with AEW.
Yeah, I did hear that rumor as well. If you're going to bring him back at any time, I guess maybe now, Fyter Fest, night 2, because it's, AEW first going on the road. If they're going to be hot anytime, it's going to be now. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings are for this week, if they've gone up, because they were 800-some thousand, almost 900,000. Then they lost about 10,000, last week. It's interesting to see if they lose another 10 or if they go up, because it's like a big Fyter Fest, But I do agree with you on some points. This episode wasn't bad, but there was still a lot of AEW typical
stuff.
Yeah,
but that never changes, That's a constant. That's every single show, every single week. So, we're going to be talking about everything. Thank you so very much to every single one of you for watching, for subscribing, for coming in. We have some issues with Facebook where, we'll do a video ranting, but this is not the time. So don't forget, to follow us. Please follow us, because Facebook hates us. Samoa Joe, it's time to go to sleep for him because Karrion Kross choked him out. NXT, Paul.
Yeah, it was pretty much the main thing we wanted to see from this is Karrion Kross really going to drop the title to Johnny Gargano? No, that was not the case. Gargano, I guess, gave it his best effort, but a very strong, convincing win by Karrion Kross. And, Regal, he put it out there. Samoa Joe, he's my enforcer. He can't touch any of you guys unless provoked. And, Karrion Kross, when he had the straitjacket on him, he was pretty much telling him, he's like, unless provoked, huh? So I guess he provoked Joe. It's interesting to see what they do next week. And also next week, we're going to see Xia Li versus Raquel
Gonzalez for the NXT Women's Championship. And Paul, there was a trade, actually. They didn't tell us about that yesterday. Mandy Rose showed up on NXT, but there was a trade because Aaliyah is now part of Monday Night Raw. So, they kept it fair. And, I feel happy for Aaliyah because she's going to have more exposure. She's just going to be treated better. Only time will tell. But, at least, she's going to make her debut. She deserves it. The girl, she's a decent wrestler, so why not? Why not try something different and get Mandy Rose back? It's going to be a reason for so many guys to see a lot of cake, on NXT, because they're going to take away the big cake of Toni Storm. So, it's going to be fine. So, Emily, let's start talking about Fyter Fest Night 1, IWGP Championship, United States, and that is going to be Jon Moxley, I guess. Like you said, machine gun Carl Anderson. And this was a pretty good match, but like you said, in the end, is like Jon Moxley and Nick Gage, because they look alike, they are and they fight the same, they're similar in the ring, they love each other, but I think that Carl Anderson always puts, like you said, good matches. He's always putting on decent shows, but in the end, he's always coming short. He's just, he always puts over wrestlers.
Yeah, I was really, when Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows got released from the WWE, you think, okay, this is a time that they can now show the American audience, hey, we're legit. We're actually badasses. We're not just AJ Styles, his goofs. No, we're actually somebody who you can respect. And we didn't see that until last week when Carl Anderson cut a legit promo saying, Jon Moxley, I was in Japan. He cut that promo about how he's going to bring the title back, all this, good stuff. And you thought, okay, man, Carl Anderson, the Good Brothers, they can actually be legit, huh? Well, he is in the ring, but Jon Moxley, they love him here in AEW. They love him in Japan. You knew he wasn't going to lose, but I think that would have been really cool if we would have saw something like that. But then what they kind of announced later on, that's definitely the bigger match, the bigger draw. If they drew anything, if people still came to see matches and anything like that. But no, I mean, this was a good showing by Carl Anderson. I think he's really talented, but like I said, nobody thought he was going to be.
Oh yeah,
paradigm shift.
Right there, the cutter,
1, 2, 3, and done.
Badass cutter, for a near fall, and then of course you get to see the paradigm shift. 1, 2, 3, and even took away the legit music. But Nick Gage remains IWGP United States champion. And like you said, let's go, since we are in the subject of Jon Moxley. So let's talk about what happened afterwards, because we got to see Lance Archer cutting a promo about him. He said that like a few years ago he lost his championship, the IWGP United States Championship, to Jon Moxley, and it was Wrestle Kingdom. So he says that like it's time for him to get his rematch. How long, Paul? Like 2 years, like 3 years in the making about this. Like poor Lance Archer. Like how they've been treated, like in AEW, New Japan. He's a pretty good wrestler, but I don't think anybody has faith in him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's always like, I don't know what it is. It's almost like the same thing I'll say with Pac. It's like he's so talented, he's so good, but there's just that black cloud above him.
There's
Maybe
always
because like there's always
yeah.
somebody who's more popular than him. It's like, oh, if he was in a small territory,
it's just popularity. It's just popularity.
If he was in a small territory or something with no big names, he would be the king. But it's like, oh, you got Moxie, you got Omega, you got Cody. He's not going to outshine these guys. Now, Aleister Black, Malakai Black, he's not going to outshine them. But this is a great match. Moxley, I think, will be more than happy to drop this.
God.
Yeah, exactly. Is that Jake the Snake, or is that? Oh no, it's Moxley. Oh, okay.
No, it's not Nick Gage.
They look almost the same with the shadows and stuff there. But no, I mean, all joking aside, I'm excited for this. Moxley cut a good promo too. I love how I was like, you want this match, we're going to give him a Texas death match, they said like all the people he beat, and then, Moxley, I think he tied the record for the most title defenses.
Yeah, most successful title defenses in IWGP United States.
But I just love the ending line when he's like, born in Texas, bred in Texas, and you'll be dead in Texas.
That's right. So it's going to be like a really good match, and it's going to be a Texas death match. So we'll see what happens.
Again, Nick Gage is wrestling his match, Texas death match. So.
They all do that. Yeah, they all death match. They have to bring that. Of course, they have to still kind of like get some like resources of what it was like Dark Side.
But the one thing I will say though, give them a pass. At least it makes sense because that's how their first match was in Japan. So at least okay, I'll give you.
At least what it's always going to be better than Monday Night Raw because that show is insufferable. Let's talk about a guy that like, despite how much he loves to be with Charlotte. Despite how much like she pretends he tries to learn the language, still to me, and I love the guy. I want to put that first, and before I say anything else, I want to say that I love Andrade. I think he's a great wrestler, a great talent. It doesn't. I want to shout out Stephen Logan because he says he portrayed better than Alberto Del Rio. Hell no, Del Rio at least knew how to speak English fluently. But like the guy tries to be so legit, but in the end always falls short because he's forced to speak a language that he doesn't even know or understand. So that's my biggest issue. Like he was talking to Alex and all of that, and he says, "Where's the dead triangle?" That's the question that I have for you. And he's like, "Oh, you mean you want to talk to them? Yeah. I want to know where they are." So that's, you see, maybe he's gonna try to get Penta and maybe Rey Fenix. I don't know what they're gonna do with these guys, but Andrade, to me, like if you keep giving him this time of promos, all the momentum gone for me, all the expectations gone. I don't know what it is, but like he cannot resign for me. He cannot like do something good for me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the language thing is a little bit, it's hard to be like, is this like, to get behind this guy to think he's badass, even if he's real good in the ring. But the main issue I have here is Vicky Guerrero is his manager, and that automatically makes him look like a fool, makes him look like a mid-card joke. Yes. And then you see this other guy behind him with the scarf and the little notebook, and who the hell is this guy? Andrade looks like a loser. He should just be there himself.
Yeah.
Or just, or have Alex, because sometimes we see Alex, he's with Penta, sometimes he isn't.
Yeah, he should have Alex, yes.
And if you want to see that, maybe Alex, because like I said, sometimes we see him with Penta, sometimes we don't. Maybe he can be like, oh, Andrade's more legit, and he's like, well, I'm going to manage Andrade. Because he can speak English, he can speak Spanish, he's legit. Then that turns Penta babyface if you want to do that. And feud these two, because they both have the lucha style. They can both have really good matches. Like we say, sometimes lucha style doesn't mix with other guys' styles, and the match isn't very good.
These two have enough background.
Yeah, these two can, put on a good match. I'm sure they all have good chemistry. And that's what we want to see. But instead, we'll probably still see it. But this is how they got us there. By like him being with Vicky, him having a very competitive match with Matt Sydal for no reason. He should have beat him in 2 minutes. I don't get it.
And, exactly. So, bad for Andrade. We want to see him success. We want to see him become a success in AEW, but it's really difficult to actually believe that he's going to. Time will tell. Another one. Time will tell. So let's talk about like the the Fuck the World. There you go. FTW Championship. Brian Cage with Ricky Starks. This was good just because of the winner. You know why? Because I feel that like Brian Cage, they're trying to turn him babyface. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but at least it makes some kind of like sense for Ricky Starks to hold that, just because out of the two, he's better as a heel. And, the only thing is, like, he was just coming up from the injury. Watch the neck. I don't want to be, paralyzed. I don't want to, like, end my career today. But, like, they gave me a pretty decent showing. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I want to just comment something about Brian Cage when you said about him being a babyface. So I saw after the match, he put a tweet out to Taz. He's like, I didn't even want to be in your little group. It's like, weren't you managed by Taz at your debut? Didn't Taz introduce you? So, I think you were always fine with Taz. So this just proves what I'm about to say. This guy can't be on his own because he can't talk. He's not a good promo. Look, he can't even tweet, correctly. He doesn't even know his own history and storyline in the company. So, yeah, this guy's not going to – he's definitely going to sink, I don't see him succeeding on his own. Team Taz was the perfect thing. If anything, they should have did the real swerve and broke Ricky Starks on his own. And Brian Cage would have stuck with Team Taz, and he would have retained, and they would have turned on Starks and been like, oh, you're a liability. You're just causing trouble here in the group. And they kick him out, kind of do a swerve. But, no, this match was really good. Ricky Starks is so good.
Paul hates me.
Yes, He doesn't watch Impact on Twitch because my wife hosts it. So. That's not true. But anyway, no, this match was really good. I mean, Ricky Starks is a hell of a
power bomb, Paul. This was badass.
He's one of the best guys in this company. Again, he's one of those top 10 young guys who still has potential in here with like an MJF and Adam Page, Sammy Guevara. He's definitely one of those guys who you can build the company around, and he'll be one of your stars for many years. And like I said, they had a good match. You saw Ricky Starks. He said the powerbomb. He was even showcasing some of his strength. And then, he tried to use the belt. And then they were like, oh, Hobbs was like, no, man, be legit. Don't be bullshit. But then you saw Hook come down, distracted the ref. And then it was like, boom, the shot with the belt. So then they were like, haha, just kidding. Big spear. And, he retains. And then you see, Team Taz, they were all in on it. They wanted to screw Brian Cage to begin with. Taz is just like, you're done, pal, blah, 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 whatever he said. And, now we're going to see Brian Cage, I guess, have a feud with Team Taz. That's,
And that to me, is lazy booking. That is lazy booking, like you said. I mean, I'm just telling you, like, in World of Kayfabe, he's going to turn babyface. But, like, is it make sense? No, because, like you said, the guy, ever since he debuted, he should have won the championship, and that should have been it. The guy would still have a lot of, like, stocks for him to go to any single feud. Now, he lost to John Moxley, done. Team Taz, so they don't have. He has not had a meaningful feud outside of Adam Hangman Page.
No.
Period. Like there's a winner on Dark, he's a winner in Elevation. If somebody watches that show, we have never seen that, so that's a big issue for Brian Cage. It might as well have stayed on Impact. I will be fighting probably Kenny Omega right now for the Impact Championship. If not, that's Sami Callihan. That's what happens. But, let's go to a guy also that loves to just showcase himself and hates to put people over. But in this situation, he's going to have to, because otherwise, why would you sign the guy that we're going to be talking about? And that's Cody. And then he's like, yeah, like he got the same headset that I had a few minutes ago. So, Malakai Kai, is that what you do? Is that what you want to say? Oh, you beat up a 62-year-old man. And all of that. He's like, you know what? I need a microphone. So, and then he starts calling him out. So, Malakai Black shows up. And I mean, doesn't this just take the AEW sign and put WWE?
This is the same thing we saw on
SmackDown here.
Yeah, and pretty much almost the same type of promo too. He's like, I once knew a man. He had a legit horse that won him all these races, or all this stuff. And he's like, oh, and the horse was old, and he knew it. It was done. It couldn't race anymore, or whatever. So it couldn't work anymore. So he took it to its favorite field, gave him treats, and then he put a bag over his head and pretty much put him down. And he's like, and that's, the same kind of look in the horse's eyes. Everything is the same look I saw in you and Arn. Like, so pretty much saying they were done. He was going to take him out. But he still speaks in like these metaphors and this very like creepy, symbolic type, manner. Like you said, it's the same thing we saw on SmackDown, which is fine. But now at least, I guess we're seeing it legit. He's actually going to be pushed. He's going to be pushed. Hopefully, Cody doesn't, do anything crazy, because, I was honestly hoping for the same thing. I was hoping, because Cody was like, oh, yeah, well, he's like, you want to get a closer look at my eyes, come down to the ring now. That was badass line. I'll admit that.
And badass was like when he said, oh, I was hoping that you will say that.
Yeah. And then the lights go off. He comes in the ring. Cody should have charged him, and it should have been a freaking black mass and done again. Then next week, maybe Cody gets the upper hand. But to have them brawl, and then they got to get the pull apart, and then it's like, oh, then we go to commercial break, and then when we come back, oh, they've been restrained from each other, this and that. I think it's too early to have Cody kind of get like the even ground. Cody there should be a couple weeks leading into their big match where he looks good or even gets the upper hand. But, I think to really get Aleister Black, it should have been like another kick, or maybe Dustin came out with him and he black masked Dustin or something,
Yeah.
Do something like that to get him over. But I still have faith in this. This will be good. But like you said, Cody has to put him over. And Cody has put MJF over.
Otherwise, what would you sign?
All the things I say aside about Cody, he has put MJF over. He did, he does put people over when he needs to. But he also will be like, the guy who he has a poster of on his wall, I'm sure, Triple H, because he also will bury people. So hopefully that's not the case.
He knows about 19 seconds, so he will probably do something like that. But in this case, I mean, Tony's like, dude, come on, man. No, but I'm dashing code. No, come on, man.
Yeah.
Just put him over. So I think that they're gonna do that. So it's gonna be good for Malakai Black, and I don't know if it's gonna be all out. I don't know if you can have this stretch all to a month and a half, but maybe, or Fight for the Fallen. That's probably gonna be maybe the main event, and then you will get to see the pro.
I would say pay-per-view. I think Cody, the one thing he can do is sometimes if he can book something good sometimes. Other times if it's with a joke like QT Marshall, it's a train wreck. But, the thing with MJF, that whole feud was good, and they really dragged that out. I think you could do that here. Maybe something that happens with Cody, that he gets suspended for a few weeks, and then, maybe then our Aleister Black goes after Dustin. Like I said, you can do something. I think they'll stretch it out for the paper.
Yeah,
if they give this away on free TV, I think that'd be a shame.
Oh, no, that would be bad. But Cody, you never know with Cody. So let's go with Tully Blanchard and Santana and Ortiz. He was just coming out to the building by himself, and then they catch him, and it's remember what you did to our boy Conan last week? And then they're about to hit him with a pipe or something. And then when he's about to hit him, he's like, it's fake, pendejo. No, I like that. They made fun of the guy, and he's like, hey, be legit. We're not bullshit like you. Go get your boys. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to get my boys. So they keep stretching this. But like you said, the best way to stretch this is just put a number one contender. Make these two teams, fight for something that is going to take them to the next level, and that should be a match with the Young Bucks. But they don't do that, so it becomes less important for me.
Yeah, I mean, I wish these two teams were just in the tag division, like you said, fighting for that, to move up the rankings, to be the number one contender. Instead, later on, we're going to see who the number one contenders are probably going to be.
Yes.
But, this was pretty good. I like this. Santana and Ortiz are badass. And if it's just going to be a normal tag match between them and FTR, sign me up.
Exactly. So now let's hear from the man, Adam Hangman Page. Cowboy shit, the crowd actually, like you said before crowds started to show up back again, you remember you said crowds will make Adam Hangman Page feel more special, and they do. Every time that they chant the cowboy shit, I'm really laughing, I'm having a good time. So he's actually talking about Kenny Omega, but in AEW fashion, we see this week after week after week after week. Can he finish the promo? No. Because we hear the voice of the most annoying manager of all time, Don Callis. 6 months ago, I was completely for the guy. I was a big fan. Now I cannot stand him because I see him Wednesdays and Thursdays. So this guy, absolutely, I want to see him out of my TV. And then the Elite shows up. Kenny Omega looking like Triple H again on 2005. All of that. They cut out a pretty good promo though. I think it was Nick Jackson, or no, I think it was Matt Jackson that went and wanted to talk to Adam Hangman Page. And the first thing he says is oh my God, it's your breath, you're still doing the bottle, I think. So they went at words for a little bit. That was cool. And then they were going to attack Adam Hangman Page from the back, but then the Dark Order showed up. All of that. What do you think, Paul? Because after that, they even went for a little longer, and it was cool. I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything, the big brawl. I mean, to me, this segment would have just been good if Hangman just cut a promo, get himself over, get the crowd really behind him, and then just go to the next segment. But they have to further their storyline, and we see this, and Omega's oh, you want a shot? Well, I don't know about that. Did you really earn it? All this stuff, and then. He's no, he actually doesn't he agree to the match?
He did. He was the one that proposed. He says, how about we make it 5 of your guys against all.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And whoever win, if we win, you fuck off. You don't get anything. You don't get your shot. And then he's well, Adam Hangman Page is okay, But if I win, I get my title match, and also the guys from the Dark Order get a shot of like the Young Bucks. It's like, all right. So then, they kept going at it a little bit more, and Omega's like, you're afraid of like failure. That's all it's all about. It's like you don't want to get the match, or it's like you're just afraid that like you're going to lose one more time, and then you go to like Pa and to Ma, and then just tell them all your accomplishments and also your failures. So, like it's really cool for me. This didn't bother me as much because it's kind of like, well, like the Attitude Era will be booked. Like remember like the heels being just heels, so that was okay. And then the Dark Order being babyface. I mean, they want to make you believe that they can actually win because even Kenny Omega said like you're going to get your goons and all of that. So it wasn't that bad for me.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for me, I mean, the Elite, that they are how they are. I think they would be maybe a little better with Callis and maybe if Nick Jackson, and or if Matt Jackson didn't speak, they're both insufferable. But the fact that Hangman Page is with the Dark Order, that just kills it. I mean, with at least with Brody Lee there at the end, they felt more legit because Brody Lee was really serious, cutting good promos. But, since they lost him, it's just been like, I mean, they're just a joke. They're just a joke.
Yes, yeah,
they're a joke.
And even they say it. If they say it in promo, it's because they hear it. We're not the only ones that think about it. Like I said, in this, it doesn't bother me as much. Why? Because again, it could be just an opportunity. You make you believe that like they might win because they're going to make this an elimination match.
Well, and like I said, I don't care if they would actually win the tag belts or anything. It's just that the team is such a joke. I would want to see a legit team supporting Hangman.
Exactly. Like for example, like Santana Ortiz, even like FTR, that would be better because they're legit teams and they should be fighting for the championship. Not these guys that like they
especially because FTR was the team that lost it to the Bucks, and they could be baby, but I mean, see, they're not babyface, so
no. So like, is where this is? I think they're gonna stretch it all the way to All Out. So we're gonna see back and forth a lot. So like, this is fine for me. I don't hate it as much as long as, like I said, in the end, we get to see Adam Hangman Page with the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. So now let's talk about the former AEW champion, that's Chris Jericho. He's talking about because he's going to be in labor. He's pregnant, so he's going to be doing a lot of labor with, like the 5 labors that he gave, like MJF gave him all, like talking about Greek mythology, Hercules, and all of that, and how he did all of these labors, and then in the end, he got what he wanted. And then he goes, I'm the God of Thunder. And before he can actually speak, like AEW does, quite frequently, we get to see Shawn Spears beats him up with a chair, and then MJF says that like next week, the first labor, the first contraction that he's going to get before the epidural is going to be against Shawn Spears, and it's going to be Shawn Spears can actually use the chair, but Jericho can't.
And as soon as he said that, I immediately thought Judas effect on the chair into Shawn Spears' face. 1, 2, 3, Jericho wins. So
and done. Yep. That's. I mean, like you said, it's just like they're going to stretch it out again until All Out. So they're going to have that match at All Out. So this is going to go, we have like 4 or 5 weeks and a half before All Out around that. So, 5 labors. So it's like every week is going to be a labor. So he's going to be, a contraction every single week, and he's going to give birth to MJF at All Out. So it's fine. Whatever, is it interesting?
It'll be like the painting, The Birth of Man, but it'll be, Jericho and MJF.
Yes, exactly. We got to see Jericho holding like the baby, and that's what it's going to be. And now it's time to talk about, let's go old school. So, when you see the video, it's actually going to be black and white because we're going to go back to so remember Celebrity Deathmatch? They will actually have like the old classic matches. Yeah, we have Monday Night Raw 1999. Matt Hardy against Christian Cage. I mean, what is there to say? There's always guys are always gonna put up good matches, but in the end, Christian has to win. Why? Because Christian is the guy that they have to make look better. Because Matt Hardy he doesn't need any wins. He just became a father, so what else can he want? He's never going to be an AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So what's there to say on this, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's not like we haven't seen these guys wrestle before. I don't think this was the big, money match people wanted to see in 2021. I mean, needless to say, the match wasn't bad, though. Like they said, these guys hate each other, and they start off with a lockup. Yeah, because they're actual 2 wrestlers. They know how to wrestle, so that's why they started with a lockup. But, I mean, this was good. Hardy did all the heel stuff. Distract the ref, and then let me kick you in the nuts, everything.
And all of that, yeah.
But Christian kept fighting back and everything. Eventually he comes back in the ring. He almost gets counted out. He hits a big, what do they call it? Not the kill switch or whatever.
The kill, so Matt Hardy did Trees of Fate. He kicked that out of that. Like I said, he comes back, the kill switch, 1, 2, 3, and Christian is celebrating, but then private party, the members for the Matt Hardy, like the group, come out, and then we got to see Jungle Boy, and this killed it for me for Christian. You know, Jungle Boy comes out and also Luchasaurus. You know, what can I say on this?
And the thing to say is that Tony Khan is such a shitty booker. Why do this match on a big show, and it's not even the end of the feud? This should have been the end of this feud, because nobody wants to see Christian and Matt Hardy feud. We've seen that hundreds of times. If you wanted to do this match in AEW, that's fine, whatever. Do it once and just end it. That's what this should have been here. The fact that you had, you know, Hardy's goons come out, then you had these guys come out. The fact that Christian is associated with them and not just, okay, I'm going to beat Hardy, now I'm going to go after Omega. Then you can do Omega versus, you know, Christian in between the whole Hangman thing.
Hangman, yes.
Whatever. You know, it seems like a feud is going to continue with these three versus probably Matt Hardy and Private Party.
My grandkid is lifting grandpa. And it's like, you beat, you know, the battle of the oldies, you know, the battle of like the senile, you know. I don't know. I was just like, everything that like was cool about Christian Cage, you know, at least they treat Edge a little better on WWE. But like, if I go to another company thinking that that's how they're gonna portray me, no, thank you. I stay retired because at least my legacy matters more to me than anything else. I remember people seeing me and thinking of Captain Charisma than this. So I'm sorry, Christian. I love you, but somebody has to say it. And that was me. So you can come to me. All right? So Miro, Jean-Paul, you know, of course, like the same kind of promo. Oh, you know, I have a hot wife. It's legit. Courtney hates me. It's fine. You know, I don't know how to type in English. I make a lot of mistakes. Andrade and I are going to the same school, you know, ESL learners. It's fine. You know, my wife still understands me, so that's all I care. So, you know, still looking strong. He doesn't even have an opponent. So that's that's how you portray your champions. They need to find somebody for him, and it has to be way better than Brian Pillman, somebody that has to be at his level. So we believe that he's a credible match.
I mean, I wish it would have really built that Brian Pillman thing up, because that would have been great if he would have won the title and you made it a legit feud, but instead it was booked in 2 weeks. But I mean, pretty good promo by Miro. You know, once he got through the whole, oh, I'm hot, my wife's hot at the end, like I love some of the lines he was saying, like, it's not me sacrificing my life for my title. I'm sacrificing your life for my title. So that, I mean, that was badass. You know, he can be good if you lead him. I think if you're like, Miro, you know, talk about this, don't be bullshit with this or that. Just get right to the point. You know, he can be good, and he looks like $1 million.
Oh yeah,
I'm still a fan of Miro. So
Miro is legit. So like, at least here, like it took a whole year. You know, it's like, oh, be bullshit, like game over. We're gonna change who you are to try to make you a little better. So let's talk about Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Kind of like really good promo, but the thing that kills this is just like she's feuding against a heel. If she would have been feuding against a babyface, a credible babyface, this should be, caliber of like $1 million. It will be really like main event caliber for this girl. Unfortunately, there was nobody that could actually fill Hikaru Shida's like shoes. And that's on them, on creative, because, the fact that she's feuding with Nyla Rose, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Because it's bad that we're already like rooting for Britt Baker to go over. And most people will go for the babyface, but nobody wants to see Nyla Rose with the title again. So, she goes at it, even she says, you need this to feel significant, to feel meaningful. I don't need this because I make the title meaningful. So there you go, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, she even said, like, even if I lose, like you said, even if I lose it, I'm still Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And like, Vicky, the only way that you're relevant is because of your last name. You're going to just mooch off that forever. It was good promo. And then, the opponents, they tried to fire back. But, I mean, to me, that was just like, nothing. They couldn't beat Baker's promo. And she's going to beat Nyla Rose. There's really nothing else to say.
And Paul, Vicky, I love you. I respect, the heritage. I respect everything because of course, Eduardo, not Eddie, Eduardo. Let's call it for what it is. But the hairdresser doesn't do justice to you. Go and ask for your money back, because if that's what you're going to do, legit is bad. So, let's talk about really quick, Paul. We got a match really quick. This was like the Blade and also like the Butcher were right there. Jesse was Sammy Guevara, and this guy, help me out with the name, is Wheeler Yuta. So it was really quick match. I don't know if you liked it, but they're trying to put over Sammy Guevara.
Oh yeah, I mean Wheeler Yuta, he didn't look bad in this, but I don't understand why the Best Friends came out with him. That was really weird. But I was thinking why they're talking about how this guy's like a baby face and they're pushing him. And then it's like, oh yeah, here's Sammy Guevara, the babyface that we like a lot more. He's gonna beat you. You know, you couldn't give a different opponent for him, like a heel, or if you wanted Sammy Guevara to be on the show, you couldn't have found a heel for him to wrestle. I mean, it was just weird. I knew Sammy was gonna get the win. It was pretty good, but like you said, pretty quick too. So, you know. Yeah.
Cotter, and then go to sleep. Sammy Guevara is the guy, legit stuff. So that's what we have. Then QT Marshall, of course, looking like a freaking loser, you know, with the members of, like, you know, the factory and all of that. Nobody wants to see these guys. They're all losers. You know, they're completely dead for me. And the fact that, like, Tony Giovanni has, like, an earring or something right there makes him look completely, like, you know, waste. You know, like, come on, dude. It's like, embrace your age. You know, don't look like a clown.
I mean, I don't understand still what's going on here with the factory. How they're like, oh, you know, you're going to hit me. Oh, you're not going to hit me. And then they dump, like, it looks like literally a cup of shit on his head. This is so maybe I'd rather get a cup of shit dumped on my head than watch this show.
Exactly, Paul. Also, like, let's talk about really quick the return of Yuka Sakazaki. You know, like, they have to have Sheree, you know, on NXT. So, like, of course, they have to bring somebody that looks like Sheree and does Yuka Sakazaki. And it goes against Penelope Ford. Pretty decent match. And Yuka, although, like, she almost botches the end. But, you know, like, they put him over. Like, she's a good wrestler. So they need also, like, that Japanese figure right there. Because they know Riho was a complete flop. So I'm pretty sure, like, Hikaru was always good. You know, she was always, like, the best champion that they had. So, like, now hopefully Yuka can take that, you know, be, like, the next one to be, like, a breakthrough star for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they really brought her over because they need baby faces. Like you said, they don't have Riho. You know, I think Thunder Rose is the big match they're saving up for Britt Baker whenever they want to do the title switch. You know, if they can sign her to AEW full-time, I feel like that's something that they'll do. But, yeah, I mean, Yuka Sakazaki, she was definitely going to win this. You know, it's hard to really get into it, to be honest. I mean, you watch it, but really none of it sticks because you don't care. You know, you're just, okay, I'm waiting for the main event. This is
maybe that will stay, but I don't know if that sticks, but like,
yeah,
a little bit. It sticks. Yeah, it sticks a little bit. But like you said, like, Yuka is going to be like a good baby face, and that's what they need. You know, they need baby faces to feud with Britt Baker. They have Statlander. That could be like a feud. Maybe Yuka, and then maybe like a rematch with Hikaru. Or maybe, like you said, then you say the big stuff for Thunder Rosa, or maybe, who knows, at some point, maybe you bring also Tessa Blanchard, or you can bring somebody else. Maybe at some point Jordan Grace opens the Forbidden Door, something like that, because the girl needs, you know, matches, because this with Nyla Rose is not going to be interesting, because she's going to go over. It doesn't matter what happens. She's like the greatest thing in the women's division that AEW has right now. You're not going to take the title away from her. So this, absolutely uninteresting. I don't care about how much, even you have to pay me, I will not say this, because this is just terrible. No, there's no interest in Orange Cassidy. You go from, like, feuding against, like, the World Heavyweight Champion to this with the Blade, a guy that, like, you know, we don't even know where the Butcher is anymore. You know, they only has the Bunny. That's the only good thing he's ever done. You know, it doesn't make any sense, but that's what we're going to have next week. So now, Paul, let's talk about the main event, and that was, like, the Coffin match, Darby Allin against Ethan Page. The match just started out really bad for me, but then once both of them were actually fighting by themselves, it actually picked a little bit steam for me. But, you know, like, Darby Allin, I think he was thinking that he was Bret Hart with, like, Goldberg, because he had, like, the plate, and then he did the coffin drop also in it, and they, you know, they're not even able to call it casket with coffin. WWE, thank you for, like, stealing every single word from this English language. So, you know, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this match, I agree with you. Like, you had Scorpio Sky, he was in the casket to begin with, then they start going at it, and then Sting slowly walks to the ring, because it's like, oh, my guy's getting beat up, but let me just walk to the ring instead of run. You know, maybe because he can't run because he's 62 years old, you know, who the hell knows. But, you know, eventually, like you said, him and Scorpio, the cameras were on them for the most of the beginning of the match. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, can you focus on the actual participants? But once they kind of got out of it,
the guys are actually fighting in the main event.
Yeah, but once they kind of got out of there and it was done with that, you know, it was pretty good. I mean, these guys definitely have chemistry. You know, they work well with each other. They trust each other, you know, like the big power bomb onto the steel steps, you know, everything like that. You know, they got busted open and everything. But, like, at the end, you know, how did he even set it up? I feel like when he
did this thing, you know, like, he's, like, the reckoning the eyes, or, like, really messing up with, like, his vision, with his eyes, like, and all of that. And then he actually was able to get on the turnbuckle with the skate, and then he beat him.
Oh, yeah, he hit him with the skateboard. Was it? I didn't get to see. Was the skateboard? Was it spiked, Or was it just
it hit him in the back, in the spine. Yes, like he.
No. But what? Sometimes he has like thumbtacks or spikes.
Oh no! It was just regular.
Oh, so just no. Yeah, that was kind of weak for me because I didn't see the bottom of the skateboard at first. I was like, was there spikes on it or
no?
Like,
it was just
he just hits it with it, and Ethan Page acts like he got shot with a gun, and then he throws him in the casket, and then he coffin drops through the casket for good measure. But all he had to do was just put him in it, so he already won. But he puts the exclamation point on that. Everybody thought Darby Allin was going to win, but is this feud over? Is Sting and Darby Allin going to move on to something else, or are we going to see these guys go at it again next week? That's the main problem with all these. It's like nothing ever ends.
If that's what it's going to be, why don't they just introduce like a veterans championship? That way Christian can go at it with Matt Hardy, with Sting, with Jake the Snake, with Tully Blanchard, with Arn Anderson. Get like your veterans division, your senile division, and then everybody else. I'm not trying to be offensive, but it's like if Sting is able to fight like the young guys and go over it, what am I supposed to believe? The guy's done. So, it takes it away from it. All the credibility that Darby Allin was able to have, gone. Because Sting is always right there. It's like the dad that, like, it doesn't matter how much, you do on your own. The dad is always there. Oh, no. It's like the shadow right there. I don't care. But magically, when both of them, Scorpio Sky and Sting, were, like, out of the match, I kind of, like, enjoyed this for what it was. I mean, this was unnecessary for me because he already won. But, of course, he has to look, like, a little, like, out there because he has to, like, be the Jeff Hardy that AEW needs to have. So, family, this is the review for Fyter Fest Night 1. Thank you so very much for being with us. Don't forget tomorrow, NXT UK, the best show in wrestling. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and also give the video a like so it keeps going higher in the rankings. And where else can they find us, Paul?
And make sure you follow us, Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
Family, we'll see you tomorrow. You and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...